Hey guys, some gamer dude here. I really like Bakugan, and I know companies hate anything that could be construed as negativity. So today probably cuts me from being a Baku master. But I really want to have a frank and honest talk about Bakugan. It's got problems regarding the TCG. Rather bad ones that are becoming more self-evident as news of the Age of Aurelus pre-release comes to light. Bakugan is really expensive, prohibitively so. There are a few things connected to this, which we will get into, but the expense is the main catalyst of the issues. For ease of making this video, I'll be using my local currency, but just adjust to your local currency as this video is true for all regions. Bakugan can be played in two formats, the toy-only base game and the full TCG experience. The toy-only base game is largely ignored by the fandom and even Spin Master themselves, where it is treated as just something you can do. I believe this is a mistake. TCGs run on a model of very inexpensive to try, expensive to play, very much like a gacha game. Bakugan's 3-pack of toys are the most inexpensive way to try Bakugan, being between 25 and 35 Australian dollars. A standard TCG starter is between 20 and 25 Australian dollars. This 3-pack includes a full team of Bakugan, a few cards, and is labelled a starter set, which it technically is, for the base game. But no one cares. This form of the game isn't promoted, and the fandom doesn't care about it at all, for very good reason. While it's fun in its own ways, it's got next to no meat to it. It's got next to no strategy, is easily solved, and there is nothing to do in it bar roll your Bakugan and compare values. It's horribly underdeveloped. I'm not even entirely sure why it includes cards when the game doesn't even utilize them. It's literally a starter set for a format that no one plays. Its only use is as a 3-pack of Bakugan for the TCG that people actually care about. But the problems go a bit deeper with these starter sets. If the cards included are meant to entice people to play the TCG, they're doing a bad job of it. You can't even get a taste of the real game with these cards. There simply aren't enough of them. There is really no reason to buy packs jumping from these sets. You can't modify a deck when you don't have a deck to modify. This would be an entirely different scenario if the game was a bit more complex and involved the TCG cards, meaning that the packs gave access to new components for the base game. But it doesn't. The base game is incredibly simplified compared to the original Bakugan Battle Brawlers game, and this was their first mistake. The base format, while it doesn't need to be the full TCG, it needs to be worth playing and actually entice people into buying the packs, eventually building a collection, and jumping into the full TCG. The base game needs a rules revamp to be promotional material itself. By not having this in place, it makes the TCG feel completely separate to the toys when it doesn't have to. This has actually been a frequent commentary in the community that the TCG feels disjointed from the toy lineup. You don't even need to reinvent the wheel of the base game. Just involve the TCG cards. I can do it for you, right here, right now. Bring 3 action cards, same factions as your Bakugan choices. Your total energy per brawl to play action cards is the total damage of your Bakugan. There, done. I included the TCG for you. It's got a bit more strategy than the base game, and now the TCG packs can give more options to the player in this base game. While the base game and the starter sets definitely needed to be talked about, the starter packs are even more of an issue. The starter packs are the only way to get into the full TCG experience and are a whopping $50. Double the retail of any other game's entry product. In terms of raw value, it's there. It's a $25 to $35 starter set with a full starter deck. It's worth $50. The problem comes from getting people to part with their $50 to even try the game. It's too much to ask. They scoff and say no. Even worse, it's way too much to ask of kids to buy with their own money. While I think the path to the TCG via the base game definitely should be there, this starter pack only appeals to people with vested interest in the game. There is a method to their madness in releasing a $50 entry product directed at children. It's everything you need to play, but it just doesn't understand the market well enough. At $50, it's even prohibitively expensive for someone into the game to buy 2 to demo the game, and even then, When they get people interested, those people may not want to buy a $50 product straight off. It's a big investment. This is why I make such a big deal about the base game needing a real stepping stone into the TCG by actually involving the cards. The game as a whole needs it. But it's not like the topic of the starter packs hasn't been discussed to death among the community. Absolutely no one thinks they're a good idea as is. I am personally a big fan of releasing decks by themselves and having each wave of starter sets, including a set in the corresponding factions to the decks. It's a simple option and allows people to steadily buy into the game rather than one big hit. It also allows people to buy the Bakugan they want, then buy a corresponding deck. Lastly, it makes having a couple of demo decks laying around not such a big deal. While you need the Bakugan, you probably will have them anyway. It would end up ultimately half the price. But this isn't the only option put forth by members of the community. Most starter sets include a few commons, occasionally rares, what Bakugan calls uncommons. Commons are, well, commons. They're worthless. Cards are also next to nothing to print up. Developing a pool of staple commons, mostly from the first set Battle Brawlers, then including them as decks in each of the starter sets has been an option thrown around, completely removing the starter packs from the product lineup. If you went for play sets of 3 cards over the 2 copies per card that Spin Master likes to put in each of the starter packs, at most, it's 7 individual cards per faction, with one of those 7 being at 2 copies instead of 3 copies, if the set has one Aurelus Bakugan in it. A total of 35 cards of the over 110 commons in Battle Brawlers is a drop in the ocean. There are still reasons to buy boosters. Even if you're stuck with the 2 copies per card, it's a total of 50 cards needed for the pool. It does cause issues with international products. International products already have playsets of any cards included in multiple languages, and I can't see Spin Master providing 3 decks worth of cards. So while I like the idea, I still consider developing the base game to include the TCG cards and moving to actual TCG decks over the expensive starter packs to be the superior option. Today's video wasn't intended to be negative. I really like Bakugan and want people to want to play it too. It's just I am very aware of the barriers that make that hard and wanted to give my takes on how those barriers can be removed. I am aware this type of video where I outright say a product type causes issues can be construed as negative, but my intention is to get that issue dealt with. Hopefully Spin Master does something to make Bakugan as a whole more appealing to get into. It's a very enjoyable game with a lot of originality and potential. I really want to not only see it stay around, but be a decently sized thing. But with that cost of entry, this is hard. But it doesn't have to be. This has been Some Gamer Dude, and thanks for watching.